The Big Ten is back. By God, the Big Ten is back. Sorry, Pac-12, but it is what it is. We got all that and more in this week's edition of Not PTI. That's right, not part of the interruption, because copyright's a thing and might be infringing on some intellectual properties. But it is what it is. What's crackalackin'? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know, so go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. Plenty of draft content on the channel, as well as some other football related things. But let's go ahead, let's get into our top story here. I guess not really our top story, but let's go over the Bengals versus the Browns this past weekend, or this past Thursday. It was actually, for the most part, a pretty entertaining game to watch. I thought Burrow looked good despite the lack of, an offensive line. He was really pressured. That was quite the shame. It was funny. It's not funny, but it kind of is. In my starts and sit video, by the way, go check that out if you want to know who to start and sit tomorrow. I talked about the real possibility of CJ Uzomah being a startable, I guess, player this week in fantasy football. And then I toyed with the idea, and then I said, nah, never mind. I even made a joke later on in the video about it. And he actually put out a great game, and unfortunately, he's out for the year now. On that sucks, but it was wild. Drew Sample came in. He got 9 targets. This offense likes to target the tight end. Unfortunately, Joe Mixon didn't really do much. I guess he liked to see the 4 targets in the pass game, but it just came down to this Bengal team just couldn't do enough against and I called it, a ready to explode Baker Mayfield. I told y'all he had 84 or 85% of his yards against the Ravens were air yards, which typically indicates a big performance coming. And that big performance came in the first half, man. He was amazing. I mean, Odell Beckham had the long touchdown grab. Baker looked really good opposed or sides of that one pick, but the Cleveland, and they switched straight to just pound the football and control the clock. Chubb had 22 carries. Kareem Hunt had 10 carries. So, yeah, this offense looked a lot better than the week before. But, they were kind of going into a buzzsaw against the Ravens. So, Cleveland, I truly expect them to be, close to maybe an 800 or a 500 team this year. Maybe an 8-8 squad. The Bengals, I think, will be very competitive, but it's tough to see them getting anything more than 6 wins. The defense for the Browns wasn't, I didn't like it too much. They were able to get a little bit of pressure, but not much. But yeah, what a game. Burrow, I think Burrow, without a shadow of doubt, he is the future there in Cincinnati. Now they just got to protect him. AJ Green, he had 13 targets, just didn't turn into anything, whether it was a drop, there were a few overthrows, but it just didn't come down with them. So, that's still something to keep an eye on. AJ Green's a very flexible option in fantasy football. But let's talk about the Big Ten being back. Oh boy, hip hooray! I'm excited. I can't believe it. It's amazing. It sucks for the Pac-12, because you might be thinking, oh, maybe the Pac-12's next. Not as long as California's got their lockdowns going. There will be no Pac-12 football, at least this fall. The Big Ten, they will be playing 8 games. And actually, a few of the players that decided to opt out, right now, this probably should change. As long as they didn't sign an agent, they can return and play this season. And I expect that to change. I expect that to, I expect them to be like, well, those players declared and signed an agent because they expected the Big Ten to be like, yeah, we're not playing football this fall. So I think that should change. I believe the start date for the Big Ten will be at the end of October, like October, I think 24th or 3rd. But yeah, I'm just excited. There's a lot of players out there that really needed this season, like the Nico Collins, the Shaun Wades, to really prove a few things. I mean, Shaun Wade, you got to prove, you can play on the outside. Rashad Bateman's coming back. I mean, I'm just happy that we're getting Big Ten football. Just happy we're getting football. It's a great time to be alive when there's football. But George Kittle, he's going to be out this week with there's actually some big injuries this week. Big guys that are going to be out. But he was trying to play through a injury. I think it was the leg. It was the knee, a sprained knee. He tried to play through it, and it looks like he'll be out this week. That's kind of the MO though. Kittle, I think the last couple of seasons, or at least last year, he missed a couple of games because he tried to play through an injury. So while that'd be tough, luckily they're facing the Jets. Speaking of the Jets, they have their own concerns, as they'll have Jamison Crowder out. So essentially there's no receivers. Oh, well, they got Rashard Breeland. Shut up. Just shut up. Also missing the game, Joe Flacco. That's not a biggie. And then in Denver, Phillip Lindsay's out. Mark Barron is out. A couple of big ones. Cortland Sutton, he's hell-bent on playing this week. The Steelers will be out both their guards, though. DeCastro and Wisniewski. That could be pretty big, because Denver, that defensive line, the defensive interior, was very solid against the tight end. So that could be something to look into. Alshon Jeffrey will be out for the Eagles. Buffalo will be missing both their star linebackers, Milano and Emmons. Big hit. Will they need it against the Dolphins? Probably not. Devontae Parker is still questionable, so we'll see about that. Yatir Gross-Matos and Kwame Short, they are out. Godwin, he's officially out for this game, but I don't think they'll need him. By the way, Scotty Miller might be a hot name on the hot name come after Sunday's first slate of games. Baltimore will be without Chris Moore, no biggie. But I mean, they do have Ronnie Stanley and Jimmy Smith questionable. Those guys are likely to play. Jacksonville, they are without Tyler Davis, and I mean, he's their like third or fourth tight end on the roster, so it's not big. But AJ Brown being out is huge. And then Cameron Dantzler, he's actually going to be officially out this week because of ribs, which is, I think, kind of a bummer. I was really excited to see how he would do in week 2. I didn't think he was nearly as bad as people thought he was against the Packers. He just ended up losing at the catch point. Like, I thought he showed good recovery speed, especially against MVS. Keep in mind, he's got like 4.37 speed. So he showed good recovery speed, got to the catch point, just ended up losing on a couple of those. Jack Doyle will be out for the Colts. What else do we have here? Kenny Golladay, huge. He'll be out. So I know I'm going on a limb. I'm in dire straits in one of my fantasy leagues with AJ Brown AJ Brown out. So, and it's a 3 wide receiver start league. So I'm going with Quintez Cephas. So that's an interesting name. The dude did see 10 targets last week, so hopefully Desmond Trufant's out, but Okuda is going to be playing, so that's solid. Kenny Clark out, kind of huge. We all know Lane Taylor's out for the season. And I think St. Brown, he's officially out this game, but that's not a big one. Going into Arizona, Max Williams is out, and Mason Cole. So, Jalen Thompson too. Wow. We might have ourselves a game there in Arizona against Washington. For the Chiefs, Charvarius Ward is out. That's interesting, actually. I think Justin Jackson, he's officially out for the game. Joshua Uchi, a guy who I thought pretty highly of, he's going to be out for the Patriots. So we do got a few injuries out there. So let's talk about the better things. Let's talk about Robert Woods getting an extension. Congratulations, Robert Woods. 4 years, $65 million. He is without a doubt the number 1 receiver. He is the wide receiver 1 there for the Rams. A lot of people are like, well, Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp struggles against press. Like, he did a lot of his damage at the beginning of the year in 2019 in the slot. He's a very good slot receiver. And they're not running so much slot now. They're using just the two wide receiver sets, the 2 tight end sets more so. That's why Higbee's targets actually went down. And they're really trying to get the run game going. But nonetheless, dude, congratulations for Robert Woods. He's very underrated as a pass catcher. He doesn't provide too much after the catch, but he's probably one of the better possession receivers in the league. So Robert Woods, good on you, buddy. You deserved it. Let's talk about Devontae Freeman. He was hosted by the Eagles. The Jaguars were initially a team that I don't know if we're interested, but they brought him in for a tryout right before the season started. But then James Robinson looked pretty darn. He looked all right. He looked all right in his debut in the season opener. So now him visiting it, Philly, it definitely brings some concerns about Miles Sanders because his status isn't known yet. Come game time, that's probably something we won't know until an hour before the game. If he's going to play or not. Really hope he does, man. Really hope he does. He's a keeper in one of my leagues. So that's interesting. Devontae Freeman, man, being courted by the Eagles. And then let's go over some of Sunday's matchups, man. First, let's go over. I'm a Dolphins fan. Some of y'all know this. Some of y'all may not. But I'm a Dolphins fan, and they're not in a good position against this Bills team. I don't care if both their linebackers are out. This Dolphins team might not be a team that gets hot until later in the season. So if I'm gonna throw predictions out there, it's gonna be the Bills. Giants versus the Bears, an interesting matchup. Mitch Trubisky, actually, I think could be a hot fantasy name this week or tomorrow, I guess. So this is going to be an interesting game because the Giants looked pretty good in the first half against the Steelers, and the Steelers kind of just got rolling. Big Ben was missing a bit early in that game, but yeah, once things clicked, it was not very competitive. So that game's kind of up in the air for me. I guess I would lean Chicago. Cowboys, Falcons, everyone's expecting that to be just a light show in terms of points. Like it's currently a 53.5 over under. So very interesting. I would think the Cowboys would win this game because I mean that secondary, it's mainly the corner position for Atlanta. Is there a synonym for bad? Whatever it is, it's that. Then Detroit versus the Packers, man. The Packers lit up that scoreboard. Again, the Lions, they will be getting some of their players back in the secondary, which will help. No Kenny Golladay, though, so it's hard to pick the Lions without Kenny Golladay. Jaguars versus the Titans. If you don't know, you should. Go check out my Jaguars-Titans preview. Where I think there is a path for victory for the Jaguars. And screw it, I'm going to take Uncle Rico, dude. Freaking Minshew Mania 2. What you going to do, brother, when it runs wild on you? Yeah, I get it. Vikings versus the Colts. Phillip Rivers, man, just imploded. I don't know, man. I think this game it's kind of a toss-up for me because the Vikings... Maybe we'll see more Jeff Gladney this week at the corner position because Mike Hughes and Holton Hill were just terrible. They were awful. So maybe we'll see more of them this week. This game's a toss-up for me, but I'm leaning Vikings. I'm leaning Kirk Cousins. And then San Fran versus the Jets. Adam Gase sucks. We're going with the 49ers. So do we really need to talk more about that matchup? Eagles versus the Rams. Very interesting because the Rams, they kind of looked very similar, very reminiscent of how they were in 2018. You may be like, well, they weren't lining up the scoreboard, but they controlled the game, especially through the run game. So, and they were using way more 2 tight end sets to do so. The offensive line looked much better. I don't know, man. Carson Wentz. they need this game bad, but I don't know, man. If Miles Sanders is back, I could maybe see the Eagles, but I'm gonna go with the Rams. The Rams are actually the underdog in this, so I'll go with the Rams. Steelers versus the Broncos. This will be a big test for Drew Lock. If Courtland Sutton's back, man, this will be a very interesting game. But one, I think the Steelers win eventually. I don't care who's running the football for them. Ben Roethlisberger, Juju, Monte Johnson, they all looked very, very tough. Like that looked like a very tough offense. Panthers versus the Buccaneers. Of course, we're going with Tom Brady. Ugh, can't believe I said that. Ugh, just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It will be interesting to see how this how Teddy Bridgewater and company will play against a Buccaneer defense that's actually a lot better. They picked up where they left off at how they finished 2019. So it'll be very interesting. We got the Washington football team versus the Cardinals. Oh, man, I just want to root for Washington. I mean, realistically, I think there's a Cardinals, but I mean, that defense is so scary. I was a big believer in Jimmy Moreland going into I think it was the 2018 draft. If you want to go back and look at some of my draft videos then, I was huge on Jimmy Moreland. So I don't know, man. I think Washington could sneak this one in, but this is the Cardinals' home debut, or home opener. Chiefs versus the Chargers. Patrick Mahomes, baby. Patrick Mahomes, this Chargers team, they really shouldn't even beat the Bengals last week, so I'm gonna pick them. Ravens versus the Texans. Man, Deshaun Watson. Oh, that offense needs to get it together. You got speedsters. Why is your average depth of target 10 yards? Come on, man. I got the Ravens winning this one. And we got the Patriots versus the Seahawks, an interesting game, but Russell Wilson to me is the second best quarterback in all of football. I'm going to stick with Russell Wilson here. And then we got the Monday night game being the Saints versus the Raiders. The first game there in Las Vegas for the Raiders in front of the millions and millions of fans at home because they ain't letting no one in the stands. So they're going to be watching it. I don't think the Saints need to do much. I mean, people were like, oh, man, Drew Brees' arm looked terrible, but that defense was very good. The offense, they just did enough. A lot of people be like, oh, with Brees' arm, they don't really move the ball, but I mean, that offense is still efficient. Drew Brees is still one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. They still move the football. I don't care if they have Michael Thomas or not. I'm going with the Saints in this matchup. But that's been Not PTI this week. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. That means like the video. It really helps the channel out a ton. And become a bro and subscribe. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.